We already sold more than 3 million Canadian dollars, and we actually don't expect usually for this to be converted during the roadshow, because usually we need to come back home and conduct those one-on-one meetings, Zoom interviews, and then
We're here on the Sidehustle Podcast with Zaldy, who we met last night. I got the invite from Quentin, who's always out and about at all the events, hustling on the side. But I really loved the presentation last night, Zaldy, and we'll get into it. So I guess Quentin, what's your background with the group, with the Calidad group?
Well, my interest was I was actually playing basketball in Siargao Island in the Philippines, and when I was there, I actually bought a chunk of land in 2017, and I just kind of had it sitting there, and I saw this group coming from the Philippines talking about the real estate market there and some investment opportunities. I was like, oh, I'm going to go out to this presentation, kind of learn more and kind of see what's going on that side.
And that's great. We struck up a little conversation yesterday, and you guys were able to connect on the side. But what I really liked, Zaldi, about your presentation was hearing the story, how you're hustling, how you have a few businesses on the side, how things have really evolved for you. And that's what the type of guests we love to have on the show are people that like to hustle. That's why we call it the side hustle, because we actually have an affiliate program for hustlers that can refer us out to clients. But more importantly, love getting people on that really have a good work ethic and lots of energy, which you had last night. Doing the world tour, I'll call it. You should have T-shirts made up with all the cities on the T-shirt.
we do. Actually, we have a jacket. You know what? I'll send you guys a jacket that has a Calidad Realty on it. And I think the bag that says the road show, but there's no like locations, right? We'll definitely send you jackets, guys, of Calidad Realty when I reach LA, because the package is in LA. So I'll send you guys in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, you
Okay.
could do it through Grizel or have her connect with us. Awesome. So a little bit of background. We know you're in real estate. You're representing a lot of big projects going on in the Philippines, and the presentation was awesome, talking about different opportunities, investment opportunities in the Philippines. It looks like a great emerging market compared to the other Southeast Asian countries. You had a nice slide up on that. But let's go back, 10, 15 years before your days in the financial services. What got you into financial services, and what inspired you about finance and the bigger picture?
Okay, well, thank you so much. Those are very nice words. So actually, I am a teacher by profession. I'm not into finance. Um, and then I started like teaching for only a year after I graduated, and then I realized there was no money in teaching, especially in the Philippines. It actually pays very less. It,
Every country, my friend.
every country. Well, I didn't realize that. Otherwise, I could have not taken that. But I came from, I would say, a poor family, and my parents couldn't actually like afford to send me to a school, and basically, I don't have any like the liberty to choose which course I would take. So I was just like, oh, let me just take education, and as long as I graduate, then I'll be able to do whatever I need to do after that. So cut the long story short, that was sometime 12 years ago when I started my career in the Philippine real estate. I started with Ayala Premier when I was that's been my first and only real estate experience, and I stayed with them for 8 years. That's actually Ayala Land is the largest and the leading real estate company developer in the Philippines. So I'm grateful enough to them, because they've actually have given me a lot of things that I've learned, and that's actually, I would say, has helped me get through where am I today. So yeah, after that, it was 5 years ago when I started up Calidad Realty. At first, I was just thinking about just me doing a freelance thing with developer, like get myself accredited, and then, just relax a little bit. But then pandemic strikes, and I started seeing people lose their jobs. Some close friends are laying off from their work. So I felt like during the pandemic, this was during the lockdowns and all that. I felt like that was the perfect time for me to build the office and start hiring people. And that's where Calidad started, because I wanted to like pay it forward, whatever blessings that I got from real estate and how I was able to change my life. I wanted to pay it forward to my family or friends or some people who are actually needs it. So yeah, now Calidad Realty is almost at its fifth year. And as I mentioned yesterday, I'm very happy to be sharing or telling that we are an award-winning brokerage company in the Philippines, despite of our number in total like head count, because we're actually just less than 10. I have at least like five admin and management committee, and then a sales force, which is really like very few, like 6 to 8. So yeah, and then I was also other than the real estate, I was able to put up a few businesses in the wellness and aesthetics industry. I also have a bar. I co-own an LGBTQ bar, which is actually the biggest in the Philippines. So yeah, I was able to get all of these from real estate, and yeah,
So
I'm very
people traveling to the Philippines, what's the name of the bar and what city is it in?
okay, it's actually located at Bonifacio Global City. It's the financial and business district of the Philippines. It's called Nectar Nightclub. So if you ever been to the Philippines and you wanted to visit, you can say my name and we can definitely give you some discounts. But there's always a queue. So there's always a queue. So if you wanna then let me know.
Unless you know Zaldy, then you can jump the queue.
That's the passcode actually.
Not looking for any deals, just looking for good friends. That's awesome. Similar background to Quentin. Quentin taught for about 10 years overseas.
No, really?
I,
Where?
I was in Busan. I was in Busan, South Korea, at a university there. So it was quite a good setup as far as just the package that they had, and lived right on the beach in Busan, and that's what made me travel a lot in Asia. It's like 4 months paid vacation, so 2 months in the summer, 2 months in the winter, and it was a really good setup for a while. And then that's what brought me to the Philippines. I've been in the Philippines about 5 times.
Oh, wow.
I just saw a video last night when I was showing you the property reel that I did a video of Boracay. It has like almost 100,000 views. I haven't even looked at that video in years. I forgot about it, and I'm like, oh wow. But yeah, the Philippines is great, super friendly. Myself, I'm Catholic. 90% of the church I go to here in Vancouver is all Filipino. So yeah, it's a great group.
Thank
So
you.
Zaldi, your tour, where did this current tour, where did you start and where are the next couple cities? Because this podcast is going to be airing and somebody will know somebody in one of those cities so they can reach out or let friends know that you have opportunities so they can come out and see your presentation.
Oh yeah. Oh, thank you for that. So we started so this will run for the entire month of July. So we're going around North America. So we started in New York. We were there on the 3rd, and then we after New York we went the next stop will be Toronto. Now is actually our third stop, which is we are at the middle of the road show in Vancouver, which was finished yesterday. Next destination would be Los Angeles. That's gonna be on Saturday on the 13th. Second to the last would be San Diego on the 17th, and our last stop would be in San Francisco, which would be on the 20th. We'll definitely send you like a route or schedule. And yeah, if anybody knows someone who might be interested, or just come pop by and listen to what we have
Yeah,
to say.
we'll
We're
have
not
it
very
in the
aggressive,
have it in the comments below in the bio. We'll get your bio and all the information down there with the
Thank you so much.
contact information for Calidad. So next on the tour, after this tour wraps up, I heard you're going to take a little time off, but when you get back to the Philippines, the work really starts. You mentioned some numbers, and we have your presentation package here. You're gracious enough to give Quentin and I a copy showing all
Mhm.
the properties. How many units do you have left available, and what are the price ranges? And what is the investment opportunity for those who want to look at foreign investment?
Okay. Well, to be quite honest, since our brokerage company is accredited with all developers in the Philippines, we're really focused on these emerging estates because we wanted to, obviously foreigners won't be investing in, they wanted to invest into a developing estates, right? So to put it to the number, we really recommend getting into investment with Shangri-La because this is a globally recognized brand, and they are actually very big in the Philippines. So you can never go wrong with Shangri-La. So as I was talking about earlier yesterday, for because in the Philippines we have foreign friendly policies. So foreigners are welcome to invest and can own a condominium. In the case of Quinton, he was able to buy a land. Because also you can buy in other forms, like you can put up a corporation, and then
Or
there
through
are
an
some
agent.
conditions, or probably marry some locals to own the land. I don't know with Quinton how he does
How
that, but
many locals can you marry?
well, that's a very good question. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, those are like things you can do to own some properties. Okay. And going back with Shangri-La or other developers, we also like require a minimal cash exposure. Like for example, if the property is being constructed for 5 years, technically your only equity would be 20%. That's going to be the required equity, and you can just pay the 80% by the time it's ready for turnover. What that means is that if you are planning to keep the property before it's turned over, you can like pay it off, or get a bank loan and get a rental right away. So the rental can pay off the mortgage. That's very easy. And then you can also opt to flip the property before it's ready for turnover. That way you can maximize the appreciation on a yearly basis, and with a very low cash exposure of 20%. And then you can also like sell it without any applicable taxes, because you just have to assign the rights from person to person, or even person to to a corporation. So looking through it, I've mentioned to you also yesterday, Quinton and Rob, that I've invested myself into these properties, and I've been doing this for quite a while. I've seen a good amount of money just by doing it passively. Like these are passive investments, because obviously yeah, it doesn't involve a lot of hard work to be earning in this kind of
Little bit of a background story. I used to work for a construction company, very infamous construction company, and we were responsible for the excavation and demolition of the property to prepare for building for the
Mhm.
Shangri-La in Vancouver.
Oh wow.
And that was
Would
around the year 2000, 1999, 2000. We worked for the demolition company that prepared sites for development. Just a little bit of a background story. And I stayed in the Philippines as well. We stayed at the Grand Mercy Towers, which is right
oh yeah.
beside the Trump Towers in Makati, which
Mm-hmm.
was at the time another big development. So that's what you're involved in. So if you're looking for
Yes.
properties in the Philippines, Zaldy is the guy to contact. So we'll have your contact information below. You have somebody working with you who's originally from the Philippines. She went to Canada, and now you recruited her back to the Philippines. Grizel, who's not on this morning, but she was part of the presentation. So is she residing in Canada or moved back to the Philippines? And would she be the person to contact? And give us
Yeah.
a little background about how you got involved with her.
Okay, here's a very I would say, oh, for me it's overwhelming, because last year when they visited the Philippines, one common friend has introduced her to me, and then we went to go visit one of the projects. It's called the Villaris Residences, and you know what? After that day, they ended up buying. So they bought, they came back to Vancouver, and then because she's been living here for I think it's 10 or 12 years. So and then come early January this year, they were saying that they're planning to come back to the Philippines. They wanted to move here for good, and I was like, "Why? Why are you doing that?" And they said they wanted to join me. I was like, "Are you sure? I mean, for sure you're making that much money in Vancouver. I'm not. I don't want to be responsible for your." For your, because it's obviously she's in the development here in Vancouver with West Bank, and going back to the Philippines and what that would and start selling real estate can be a really risky for her. But then he said we were really like moved on how the way things we went for me, and obviously I didn't expect that it would come off that way, but I'm very grateful. Now they have moved, permanently to the Philippines. I think they moved in February, and yeah, so right now she's with me in Vancouver, but she's gonna fly back to Manila before after the road show because that's gonna be their permanent house already, and they just come in back and forth because some family of her husband are actually from Vancouver. So yeah.
That's
And yeah, and
great.
if you feel
You,
free to contact her because she has a local number. She has a really good connections in town. Her name is Gracial Canlong. We'll be sending you the contact details. Yeah, so that we can you can expect a service that's Calidad Realty way. Because Calidad means quality, just for everybody. So you can expect a quality property and quality service.
Excellent.
Right. I was gonna ask, what's the foreigner expat scene like there? There's probably listeners that want to kind of know what the kind of communities are like there. There's a lot of Canadians, Americans abroad there.
Okay, well, right now the comparable, or we would like to compare it with Bonifacio Global City because it's actually the same. We're expecting the same kind of or even better in terms of like community or type of people who's gonna be staying on these emerging estates, right? So BGC I would say is composed of majority are foreign expats and like a normal Filipino, or if you're not on the executive level, or at least you don't own a business, you won't be able to live in BGC where me and Gracial actually lives, and that's something we would like to say, a modesty aside. Okay, so to answer the question, the kind of people that we're expecting to live in these estates we're trying to introduce are like expats, higher level executives, and then people that has their own business, because you cannot usually in the Philippines you cannot afford to buy a property in Shangri-La or to other developers. We've been talking for at least minimum would be 500,000 Canadian. So that means that you won't if you're renting, you have to have at least for a one bedroom 2,500 Canadian. So yeah, I hope that answers the
Right.
question, Quinton.
Yeah. So being an entrepreneur, we always like to ask the question. This one, some people it catches off guard, but if you have a book, somebody on the last call recommended a movie, but if you have a book that you think would inspire somebody that you've read, a book that maybe gives some great business information or insights into spirituality, just any book that comes to mind that you can recommend to our listeners.
Oh wow, that's a tough question, but let me
Book
think
or
about it.
movie, book or movie.
Book or movie. There's this book that I read. It's called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. I think that's the one I would like to be like imparting to the people that are watching. Meaning sometimes little things can be so like irritating, can change a lot of perspective, right? But if we try to be like in terms of like mindset, like if we try to be more compassionate, trying to understand other people and try to not put big deal in certain things that are not really an issue, wherein some people make a lot of issue out of it. I mean, that's actually will help us a lot in terms of like positive mindset and not putting a lot of stress into something that doesn't really require it, right? So yeah, I hope that's something that makes sense, right?
Don't sweat the small stuff. I believe I've heard that
Yeah,
the
there is a
book.
book that says
Yeah, we'll make sure and find it and put it in the link. Say that Zaldy recommended that one.
I forgot the writer, but I'm sure there's a book called Don't Sweat
Very,
This.
very easy. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
very easy to find.
It's and the tag to the title, it says "Don't sweat the small stuff," and it's all small stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I forgot the mini tagline there. Yeah, but there's the book, right?
That's awesome.
Uh,
So go ahead,
I was
Quentin.
gonna say that's a great recommendation, and I know that you got a flight to catch there. You're off to LA today, right?
Yes, we're actually just preparing to pack our stuff and go to LA. Our friends are waiting for me there. We're expecting a pretty huge crowd in LA. My because it's my second time that I'll be doing it there. So the first three routes in New York, Toronto, and Vancouver, this is the first time. So to be quite honest, we're not expecting that much in terms of like turnout and all that, because yeah, we're really here just to network. But for cities like LA and San Francisco, there was a lot of people who bought already last year. So and they're actually waiting for our arrival. They're ready to go. And then also along the way we made like a sale or production half of what we got last year. So it's a great indication that the roadshow really is picking up quickly and it's resonating to a lot of people and they understand the value of what we're trying to do. And that's actually very good. So because I mentioned yesterday, we already sold more than 3 million Canadian dollars, and we actually don't expect usually for this to be converted during the roadshow because usually we need to come back home and conduct those one-on-one meetings, Zoom interviews, and then mostly when people like Filipinos come home, they visit the site or the project, and that's the only time we close. But right now it's becoming a differently totally story because probably because the peso against the dollar is or the dollar against the peso are actually very strong. That's why rather than if like waiting, they can take advantage of that and get a more buying power. So I think that has a big factor to it.
Well, that's great. Yeah, it's a good time to do it. One last question for you. As far as like visas, what would a expat or a foreigner need to be able to live or maybe retire? They're like when I bought that land, I was looking at that as possibly like a retirement spot for me.
Mhm.
But on the visa side, what does that look like?
Okay, well, actually, there's just a certain like you just have to prove that you have reasons to stay in the Philippines. Like with in the case of Gracel's husband, who's a Canadian, he's been getting into business. Like not primarily that you have to run or that you're the managing partner or majority owner, but as long as you can prove that you are engaged into a business, possibly even if a small portion, or you have other like reasons why you need to stay in the Philippines, they could just easily get you a visa to stay, whether it may be permanent or short term or alien permit.
Showing some type of income, passive income or retirement income, pension.
Right. Or probably just buy a piece of even a small condo and just say that you have a property there. You could easily get a foreign visa.
So number one reason, we'll close on this one, Zaldi. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
Before
you
you
so
start packing, getting ready for LA and San Francisco. Number one reason to buy a property through Zaldi in the Philippines. What's the number one reason why somebody would go to the Philippines? The weather, the economy, the social life, the nightlife, business
Number
opportunity.
number one reason I would say our expertise. Yeah. Because the economy might be good, it might be good to like everybody can say that, but if you do not know what to do, or if you're talking to people who doesn't know what to do, it's gonna be like a total waste. So when they deal with us in Calidad Realty, we absolutely know what we're doing, and we will definitely help whether Filipinos or foreigners that are buying throughout the process. So yeah, if you wanted to like sell it or lease it or do a property management, that's our expertise, and we will definitely be the one holding your hand along the way.
And definitely hustling your way across North America on this tour. Good luck on the remainder of the tour. And Quentin, any last words?
Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll be neighbors at some point in the Philippines there. I love
Oh,
it. Hope to get back.
I'm looking forward to that, Brendan and Rob. Thank you so much, guys, for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Salamat, walang ano man.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.